Honorable Ministers, the Minister of Women's Ministry, honorable members of this August House and our guests at the gallery. Allow me, Chairperson, to start off by saying that at the cold face of all setbacks, atrocities, and challenges of whatever nature in society stands a Black South African woman taking care of grandchildren whose parents have been devastated by AIDS epidemic. At the face of it stands a Black South African woman who is responsible for raising children whose parents have had to migrate to urban areas in order to access economic opportunities. And more often than not, there is no appreciation for that kind of effort for women. At the face of it stands the poor Black woman who is responsible for taking care of her own family, her extended family, her community and society. It is the plight of such a woman that the ANC government remains committed to addressing. It is through the social grant system that women that have been deserted by their husbands, that have migrated to the cities in search of work, have been able to put a loaf of bread on the table for their children to be able to eat and survive. It is through this social grant system that the girl child and all the children are able to go to school and receive their education free of charge because of the effort of the ANC-led government. Honorable Kony is coming to the podium to say that young girls are suffering in abject poverty and they are not even taken care of by the ANC.
Order, Chair.
Honorable Zwane.
Chair, if
Sorry,
a speaker in
Chair,
the podium who's very confused with our members, what should we do?
Honorable Ngwenya,
She is a woman, she can't even know who was on the podium.
I don't care.
So sit down, I must not be told by you. I call an order here. You must sit down, in fact. You are very confused today. You must not tell me to sit down. Sit down.
No. Honorable Member.
Chairperson, there's a point of order. The person on the podium must sit down immediately. There's a point of order raised. So that she listens to the point of order, you make a ruling, and then she can come back to speak. She can never instruct a member of parliament to sit down like she was doing now. So you must reprimand her for doing what she was doing now. And that is what you have to deal with. And there's a point of order.
Can you take your seat so that I deal with it?
Of her referring to members with wrong names.
Yeah, take your seat. Honorable Shivambu, can you take your seat? Can you take your seat? Let me start with you as the first culprit. You were not recognized. You were doing as they were doing. That is not in order. Honorable Zwane, you can't. No, take your seat, Honorable Zwane. Honorable Zwane, take your seat. Honorable Zwane, you can't exchange with the honorable member that is rising on a point of order. Honorable Hlophe, with the very same spirit, it won't be in order to be the one that is instructing the member to sit down. I'm equal to the task. I can be able to deal with that. Honorable Shivambu.
So Rule 14U of the joint rules that govern this sitting,
yes,
say that the right of members to speak is when a member may speak when called upon to do so by the presiding office. So you can recognize me if you call me to do so, yes, or when I raise a point of order. So it's when I speak, so when I stand up to raise a point of order, it's permissible in terms of these rules. I don't have to be recognized by you first for me to speak. I raise a point of order, it's interruptive in nature. And then you can listen to that point of order and pass a ruling thereafter. A point of order is bound to interrupt the proceedings in a manner in which it's supposed to happen. And that is exactly what we do here. So you must read these rules properly.
I know what I've said, and let me repeat it. Honorable Hlophe was on the floor on a point of order. You can't raise a point of order on top of a point of order. You have to allow her to finish the point of order, then I will make a ruling. Can you continue, Honorable Zwane? Honorable Hlophe.
Chair, now we must not appear confused there. I sat down and the Deputy President of EFF stood up to raise a point of order. I was long sit down. Secondly, I want to say, Chair, I understand this member is very old. So I don't know what she's doing here. She must be looking after Amadata at home, not here. That's why
that is not a point of order. Can you continue, Honorable Zwane?
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I want to respond by saying that the honorable member of the EFF debated and said that the ANC does not care about the plight of poor girls. I want to say that with regard to sanitary pads, when the NCOP went for a provincial week, when we were at the meeting with the MECs, the MEC for education was on his way going to distribute sanitary pads for poor girls because the ANC cares. With regards to the issue raised by Honorable Hlophe, also, she maintains that the ANC-led government has not shown any care with respect to addressing or attending issues of violence against women and children. The ANC is the only party in this room that has legislated and passed a litany of legislation to protect women and children above any other party that has done before. Honorable Robinson argued and said that DSD or the ANC-led government is not doing anything about the situation of social workers in the country in order for them to take care of the welfare issues of the children. I want to say that the ANC-led government has actually issued out bursaries for the training of social workers. And today we have got 57,000 trained social workers.
Honorable Zwane.
Of those.
Will our honorable speaker take a question on how many of those social workers are actually working that have received bursaries? Will she take that question?
Yeah.
Because she sits on that committee and she knows how social workers get bursaries and they don't work. So will she take that question?
You know that you first have to ascertain whether the member is ready to take a question. Honorable Zwane, are you ready to take a question?
And not now.
He's not ready to take a question. Continue, Honorable Zwane.
But just for your information, DSD continues to issue out bursaries. 15,000 social workers have been employed. The placement is continuing, and the issues that you are raising are going to be addressed by the very ANC. And then Honorable Daddy argues again that the ANC does not care about the plight of women and violence against women and children. I want to say that the ANC does not take responsibility for people who actually perpetrate violence out there. They are not sent by the ANC. But it is the very ANC that has fought for tougher sentences for perpetrators of violence against women and children. So let us be honest and be realistic. There is no other party in this room that has done anything that is tangible towards addressing the plight of poor women and violence that is perpetrated against women and children. And we deserve to applaud the ANC-led government for that. The other issue, Chairperson, that I wanted to raise is that it is disgusting for members to come to this house for such an important debate and they turn the house into a daycare center. Abantu abasibukayo lapha emphakathini senza lento eyenzeka la endlini. Kuthi ngoba namhlanje ku-debate ama
Madam Chair.
issues of
Okay,
women
Honorable
and
Zwane,
children.
Honorable Zwane, can you take your seat? Honorable member.
Can a member take a question about the man in Joburg
No.
who have shambogged his girlfriend and now in jail?
Honorable members, it's part of the procedure. You can't say a member can take a question and ask that question. The member must first confirm whether he's ready to take a question. Honorable Zwane, are you ready to take a question?
I'm not interested.
He's
Mass
not
Minister,
ready.
you are a coward.
We appreciate the effort of the Department of Basic Education in 2014-2015 of rolling out a national training program targeting meta trainers. The purpose of this training program was to enable educators to identify and respond to violence against women and violence against children, including gender-based violence. The teachers and children were trained to speak out against abuse, and there was advocacy programs that were created in order to ensure that learners in schools feel safe and they are confident in reporting violence and taking action, as well as to reorientate the learners who have undergone experience in being violated. This is not to suggest that the culture of upholding and protecting women's rights in schools has been fully realized. Far from it, violence in schools is actually a reflection, as we speak, of what is actually going out there in communities. So as communities, as societies, we all have to take responsibility in ensuring that we put our shoulders together to fight the scourge of violence against women and children. That is why the ANC-led government has introduced the 365 days of no violence against women and children. And it is the only organization that has done that so far. And that is why we have shifted from the concept of 16 days to 365 days of no violence against women and children. In institutions of higher learning, there has been an increase of level of rape, and therefore the institutions of higher learning have taken it upon themselves to ensure that there are task teams that are being set by individual universities to investigate on the issues around gender violence and report those immediately so that the perpetrators can be quickly taken to task. I want to say that those that are speaking about the issue that there is a person that can actually emulate another person on issues regarding rape and violence against women and children are wrong. Go and study your psychology. The issue of being a raper or a murderer or of a perpetrator of violence against a woman and a child is the issue of character. It's not an issue that you can copy from another president, from another person, be it a president, be it whoever. It is your issue, and it speaks to your upbringing, it speaks to your parenting, it speaks to your character. So don't make mention of other people's names to say, I am copying from so and so. You are an adult in your own right. You know what is right, you know what is wrong, and therefore, whether you call it JZ, whatever you call it, but all I know is that we've got a president of the Republic of South Africa that has not been convicted of any crime related to rape.
I'm afraid also time has expired. Honorable Kaula.
Ngiyabonga sihlala lapho ngaphambili. Bengifuna ukwazi ukuthi uthini ngomangameli noKhwezi.
Honorable Minister.
But Chair.